Hello, I'm Mike Steiner, the Tire Whisperer, and today we're going to talk about heat from the wheel end and preventing a thermal event on your truck. So buckle up, get ready, it's time for the 2-minute warning. Okay, so the thing I want you to understand about wheel end heat is that it directly affects the tire, and there are two temperatures I'm going to focus on today: 250 degrees and 550 degrees. So let's see what 250 degrees does to your tires. Okay, so the wheel end heat's basically coming from three sources. We've got the brakes, which is the most common source, we've got the bearings, and then of course you have the tire. If you're doing frequent stopping, it generates heat. Now, if that heat builds up and stays between, say, 250 and 350 degrees, the rubber starts to transition. You get a hardening of the rubber. It starts to get real shiny and hard looking. And the easiest way to check that is with a durometer. So I'm going to take this durometer to show you that this bead is definitely hardened. And when I take the reading, I'm getting around 96 to 98. A new tire is only going to read about 78 to 84. So this bead is definitely starting to harden and will probably crack. So when you get above 250 degrees and you stay there, that can be a really bad thing for a tire. Tires are not made to operate at those kind of temperatures. And what can happen is, first we had that hardening, but then we're going to get what's called a reversion. The rubber is going to revert back to its softer state. And you can see where this tire, the rubber has actually melted off the wires. It has caused the tire to unwrap itself, and you could experience a rapid air loss. So you may notice that this damage is very localized in one area, and a lot of customers will ask me why that is and why it's not all the way around. And the reason is kind of simple, is that when the wheel is rolling, there is some cooling going on. And when the wheel stops, the heat rises and will generally cook one area of the tire. And almost always we will see this on the inner bead of the inner dual. So that explains why you're only seeing the damage in this one localized area. Okay, I mentioned to you there's another temperature we need to be very aware of, and that is 550 degrees Fahrenheit. Now 550 degrees Fahrenheit is the ignition temperature, and we all know what happens when you ignite something. So when you get brake heat, that is capable of getting up to that 550 degrees if you're dragging a brake. Or if you get a bearing seize up, certainly that's capable of getting to the 550 degrees. Now running a tire flat is generally not going to get you anywhere close to that 550 degrees. Now the problem will be is if you run the tire to destruction. There is a lot of wire inside of a tire, and it can get wrapped around the brake components and can cause them to bind up. And the other problem with running the tire to destruction is that the wheel could come in contact with the road, causing it to drag, and that could certainly build up the heat, and you'll reach that 550 degree ignition temperature. To summarize, remember there's two temperatures I want you to be aware of. That 250 degrees, at 250 and above, we're going to see a hardening of the rubber first, and then if you keep putting the heat to it, you're going to get a reversion of the rubber, and it's going to revert back to its softer state, which could lead to a rapid air loss. And the other temperature I want you to be aware of is that 550 degree one. That is the ignition temperature, and we don't want to get anywhere near that. Now the good news is most of these things are prevented by proper tire maintenance, proper bearing maintenance, and proper brake maintenance. So if you're experiencing problems with wheel end heat, a great tool to have in your toolbox is an infrared gun. This can help you get the temperature of your brake components, your bearings, or even your tires at the rim. Now if you need something a little more technical approach over time, your Michelin field engineer has a thermocouple logging device. This is a device that can read the temperature over a 3-week period, and you can really get detailed on your troubleshooting. So keep the air in the tires, keep the brakes adjusted, keep those bearings adjusted, and we'll see you next time on the 2-minute warning.